right? Jaden seemed like he was raised in the church, raised by a pastor, raised in a Christian school to where they had an outline of what to do. I don't know anything about the man. But that's what he seemed like. He knows exactly what to do, how to do, and this is a new church for him. He's been here how many months? And he knows what order and what to say. I've been there for 30 some years and I sit in the back pew and I know what's going on, but when it's my turn to do it, I'm lost. I'm lost. Today is going to be just like all the others. You know, I cannot preach without, I shouldn't preach. I can't teach without visual things. So you know it's not going to be just a talk. It's going to be some visual. And today title is Joy and Sunflowers. Joy because Advent, we went through, hope was first, peace was last week, today is joy. And why do we do that? Why do we go through the steps? Why do we go through these hope, peace, and love, and joy, and all that good stuff during the Christmas season? I think it's because we need to learn what Christmas is all about. We need to learn what God is all about. So if we keep repeating, we can actually say it, live it outside these doors. That's how we draw our friends, strangers, family into the family of God. So repeat and repeat. Today, I'm going to talk about sunflowers. And where'd that come from? I don't know. 1 John. He doesn't talk about sunflowers. 1 John, chapter 1. In the beginning was the world, and the world was with God. And the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was not... Let me read that again. In him was life, and in that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has overcome it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. John, came as a witness to testify concerning that light, so that through him all might believe. He himself was not the light. He came only as a witness to the light. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. He was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Children born not of natural descent, nor of human decision or a husband's will, but born of God. John was talking about Christ. And why did Christ have to come? We all know the story. So much going against God, so much in the world that God just didn't take first place. And God so loved the world so much that he sent his son, right? We all know this story. I want to take that a different way. from the farming community here and been raised on the farm, you know about planting. And I read the story of a little boy, 9, 10 years old. He wanted to plant apple trees. So he goes out in his grandmother's garden and gets the best soil. He finds a pot, and he gets the cleanest water that he could find. I think he even mentioned that it was the bottled water that we drink. It didn't want no chemicals or nothing in it. Pure water that he could get. And he planted his apple seeds in the pot, watered it lightly. You know how to do that. And stuck it in his closet. He wanted it to be a secret. He wanted it to be a secret. And after nurturing those seeds, keeping the soil moist, he'd pull it out every day. He'd put it back in there. And then finally, he had a sprout. And do we have a sprout? I don't see a sprout. Vibrant sprout. You know how they look. They come up and they, well, it's beautiful. I get excited when I have that. So he kept it in his closet, pulled it out every day, make sure the soil was moist, give it all the nutrients that it needed, and he put it back in his closet. He wanted to be a secret. He wasn't ready. But one day, he opened up his closet and pulled out his plant, and it had withered. It was dying. And in fact, it did die. No matter how much water he put on it, how much love he gave for it, dried up, died. And I think we all know, why did the plant die? Had no sun. No sun. The best pot you could have, the best soil you could have, water, lots of love, but it's all worthless without the light. Without the warmth of the sun that gives it life, its nourishment. The sun is the strength of a plant. We humans are about the same way. If we don't nourish our beliefs, if we don't have the sun, what happens? All life on earth depends on the light, depends on the warmth of the sun. Without it, what would happen? We would die. It's that important. John the Baptist, from our scripture today, is asking us to consider the same in our lives. Not just getting up and I'm alive, breathing and eating and all that. Not just that. That without the light of the sun, S-O-N, we are lifeless. Jesus is the light for all things. He is the source, the creator of everything, of peace, of hope, and of joy, and of love. We are nothing without God, without Jesus. He is quite literally the sun. S-O-N. But I think Jesus, the S-O-N, is a whole lot like the S-U-N. Because without Jesus, our lives, they kind of dwindle. They kind of get lost. And how many people? I don't see a whole lot of people anymore. But when I was working, you could tell just by being around certain ones that they had no joy in their lives. They just up, go to work, go home, get up the next morning, go to work, come home. There's just no sparkle, no excitement. So living out here, I've seen sunflowers. I've never paid much attention to a sunflower. The field down here at Gatewoods, do they still have the sunflower field every year? You think so? I think they do. Anyway, I've never noticed it, except that it was a field of sunflowers, and I kind of like sunflowers. My neighbor has one the last couple of years that I can see, but I never really paid attention to it. But I like the sunflower. And why do I like the sunflower? Well, I found out that the sunflower is like us. You have no idea where I'm going to be. The sunflower, around the world, begins each day facing east. I'm going to have to read this because I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to get you all confused. Begins each day facing east. As the sun rises and moves across the sky, they follow the sun. So the sunflower points this way, and then goes across the sky for the setting sun. It follows it. Has anybody noticed that? I really thought somebody would have noticed that, but I didn't notice it. Delilah said she'd seen the sunflowers, the one with the neighbor. We had some in the early years, and she noticed that the sunflower followed what went across the sky.
I didn't know that it followed it, but I knew that it
that it moved. Sunflowers in the young plants, their heads swing east to west during the day, following the sun, and reset east at night. So it's pointing this way, the bloom is pointing this way, and during the night, it resets to where it's over here, waiting for what?
Sun to come up.
Waiting for the sun. So we as humans, what are we doing? Or what should we be doing? In the mornings, looking toward the east for what? The sun. S-O-N. I thought it was kind of neat. Once mature, sunflowers stem growth stops. When is it mature? But when it is mature, they say that the stem growth stops. So I'm seeing this young plant that is moving from east to west. The stem itself moves. I'll have to watch them a little closer now. Locking the flower in a permanent east-facing position once they're mature. I'll read that again. Once mature, sunflower stem growth stops, locking the flower in a permanent east-facing position. Why? Why does it matter? Why does it matter that the sunflower does that? The benefit of the sunflower to start in the east, they warm up faster in the morning. They can attract 5 times more bees than west-facing flowers. I'd be interested to see. I'd pay attention. What's that tell me about the Christian person? Are we acting like the sunflower? Do we have God in our lives good enough to where we can show, attract other people, the bees, to God? I don't know whether we're doing that or not. I want to be doing that. It makes sense. Sunflowers are wonderful. They're always turning themselves to what makes them more beautiful. The sun, S-U-N. This Advent season, this is where I said I get closer to God when I do God's work. Does it make any sense now? I think. I'm going to try to get out of that slump of not feeling God's presence. I want to attract people toward God. I don't want to be in a position to where nobody wants to, why are you so vibrant? Why are you excited? Why do you go to church? But if I'm in that slump, who wants to be around that person? Who wants to be around anybody that pulls other people down? And that's where I feel like I've been. So in the coming weeks, this is where we should have started. I should have started when we started Advent, right? We light one candle, and the preacher talks about it. That's where we are now. We're in the middle of Advent. So I need to turn my life to where it is portraying God. How can we do that? I don't know. This Advent season and the coming year, learn to turn to that which can make you the most beautiful. To draw those non-Christians. Maybe we can draw the young Christian. They're living their life right, but they don't know where they're going. They don't know how to get where they need to be. But if I'm all day long, nobody wants to talk to that. Nobody wants part of that. So they stay away. Does that make any sense? Yes. I think it does. I think it does. I had a thought. It's gone.